Hey, this is Brian Stevens from SPYPOINT. I'm excited today to be talking with Mike Lee from Backwoods Life. Mike and the team have had a very successful career in outdoor television, and today we're going to talk about turkey hunting. We're going to share some stories, talk about some tips and tactics, and all about fun in the turkey woods this upcoming spring, so I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the SPYPOINT Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Stevens, and on this show, we get to talk about hunting, tactics, technology, and the inside scoop from industry pros. Follow along each month as we learn, laugh, and grow together with the passion we all have for the outdoors. This is the SPYPOINT Podcast. Hi, this is Brian Stevens from SPYPOINT, and I'm excited to talk with Mike Lee today, who you all may know from his successful career in outdoor television with his show Backwoods Life. And Mike and the BWL team also have a huge following on social media and YouTube. Mike, it's good to talk with you today, brother. You know, it's funny, it's a small world. We both have roots in Florida and Georgia. You know, one of the things I love to do is to give listeners a little inside scoop and a little bit of background of, you know, how you got started in the industry and, you know, some of the things that you did to get to where you are today.
Brian, first off, man, I appreciate you having me on here. It's a privilege to be, you know, here and be able to talk about some cool stuff in the outdoors.
Absolutely.
And a quick rundown of myself. In Backwoods Life, we've been doing this for 15 seasons now. We're in season 16. Will start airing this summer around July.
That's awesome.
I mean, you know, we put a little feather in our hat there to be able to hang around in this industry and do something you love to do for that many years is pretty incredible to be a part of it. And we're very humbled and blessed to, you know, keep doing it and putting out good content and go on great trips and just make so many good friends over the years. It's just been a lot of fun.
No, congratulations. That's great. Now you grew up, you're from Valdosta, or you went to school in Valdosta, but you grew up in Cordele, correct?
That's right. I was born in Cordele, Georgia. I went to high school there, and you know, my parents still live there now, and a lot of my family. And then I came down here to Valdosta, went to Valdosta State University, and got my bachelor's degree down here. And I just grew roots and stayed. And next thing you know, at 25 years old, we're starting this thing called Backwoods Life, and man, it's been crazy. You know, you don't understand until you get older. People say, "Man, time flies."
It does.
It's unreal to be, you know, this far down the road, and you just turn around and go, "Man, I really can't believe that it's done this." You know.
Well, listen, and I've been doing. I've had, you know, about a 10, 12-year career in the outdoor industry, and I can attest the fact that you've done it for this long. It says a lot about your character and Kevin and your team and the type of content that you guys bring to the table and the type of people that you are, because you're right. A lot of people don't last this long unless they're really doing it right and for the love of the outdoors. And, you know, that's what I want to talk about today. And this is one of my favorite times of year coming up, and that's turkey season, my friend. And it is right around the corner. And I know you love chasing birds around this great country as much as I do. And so what I thought we could do today is just, you know, pick your brain a little bit on, you know, and give listeners a little inside scoop on how you approach turkey hunting, and maybe give everybody a little inside around where you're going to be hunting this spring, and, you know, some of the favorite turkey hunting memory, and you know, a lot of things too, or a lot of times too, is, you know, sharing some of the mistakes that maybe you've learned from to help, you know, somebody getting into turkey hunting to learn from. So those are just, I'd love to pick your brain on some of those things and talk about turkeys.
Oh man, absolutely. Turkey hunting. Everybody asks me what's my favorite thing. You like deer hunting or turkey hunting better? And I don't have an answer for that, because really what it boils down to is I'm a seasonal guy. Like this time of the year, you get into February and the early March, I'm just sitting here like, all right, it's time to shoot a turkey in the face, you know. And then about September, you know, you're all in deer mode, and or elk, you know, whatever, mule deer. And then, you know, you have this seasonal thing, and I can't describe that. It's just it's like my feelings change with the season. And right now, you hit the nail on the head, man. I'm checking trail cams and doing my homework, and you know, I've got a lot of birds running around, and I'm just really excited to shoot one in the face.
Beautiful. So where are you going to be kicking things off? Are you guys going to do a little bit of a world tour on the different species, or are you just going to focus on Easterns, being here in, you know, North Florida and Georgia?
Yeah, well, I usually do a kind of a little tour around the country, depending on
Yep.
time. The problem with turkey season is you're trying to fit so much
Yeah.
into like 2 months, and it's just it's a whirlwind. And
Yep.
we always start off. I always go with my dad. That's one thing I've done for years now. Is when my dad got into turkey hunting, he and I always go together on the opening weekend in Georgia,
Okay.
and as long as the sun keeps rising and we're still here, I'm going to continue to do that as long as I can. And usually we've got this little thing going, like we've killed a turkey together every opening weekend for like 5 or 6 years in a row, and some
Man,
of them
that's
we've
awesome.
killed, doubles and stuff like that. So we're trying to keep that streak alive. So, but yeah, we'll start off here in Georgia. I'll probably run down to Florida and try to hunt with some of my buddies down there. I know we're going to hit Texas. I've got a hunt coming up in Kansas. And I'm going to hit Tennessee. I've never hunted Tennessee. I got some buddies up there that have been begging me to come. And then that place, they say it's just loaded with turkeys, and I can't wait for that one.
No, listen, absolutely. So I've hunted turkeys in Tennessee, and those are some tough easterns. That's not going to be any layup, but there are a lot of birds in Tennessee. Where in Florida? Because Bill and I and the crew will be down in Central Florida. Where will you guys be down in Florida turkey hunting Osceolas?
I got a good buddy that's right outside of Gainesville, down in
Okay,
that area, and
all
I've
right.
gone with him several years in a row, and I've been 100% so far. So hopefully we can keep that streak alive too.
No, I know Gainesville very well. I went to school there, and I've got a buddy who played some pro football about a farm outside of Gainesville, and he's been asking me to. But yeah, we go a little further south down in Kissimmee and that area
Okay.
where we grew up. But that's awesome, man. I love hunting Osceolas. It's so funny, and you can attest to this, that each bird has their own little personality. And I'm sure you've seen that as well, whether it's Osceola Eastern, the Merriam's Rios, they all just act a little different.
Oh yeah, they all got a different chip on their shoulder, if
Uh-huh.
you will. I mean, Osceolas, depending on, and you know this as well as I do, depending on where you hunt, if it's all of a competition thing, right? So if you're in an area with a lot of gobblers, it's usually going to be a pretty good hunt because they're going to be kind of
Yep.
more aggressive. But if you get some places like here in Georgia, we've had history, and down in Florida where you get like one Osceola and he's got a dozen hens with him, and you got another Osceola that's got 6 hens with him. I mean, dude, it's a bang your head against the wall hunt, right?
You better be able to blow on that call and make some magic, because to pull him off of those hens and Osceola by himself is just so hard to do. But you're right. When you time it right, we do have an affinity for hunting those Osceolas down there. We do it a lot of times really with a bow, whether it's from a blind or even, on the ground. And so we love it. But, in those Easterns, they get a little tough too, and I think each state's different. I've hunted them in Kentucky, and they act a little different than they do in Georgia and Tennessee. And you probably have seen the same thing too.
Yeah, absolutely. I've hunted Kentucky in the past, and had great success up there. Had a lot of fun hunting those birds. I've been to Missouri, and Missouri is probably one of the funnest places I've ever been to turkey hunt. I mean, those easterns up there, one, they look like black Volkswagens running around. They're huge, and they like to gobble and they like to come
Yep.
do their thing. And when it boils down to it, the whole reason I think a lot of us turkey hunt is we love that interaction. We want
Yep.
we want that show to be put on before we pull that trigger. And when you go out there, and sometimes here in Georgia, they're so tough. You have to kind of deer hunt turkeys,
That's
find
so
a
funny
food
you say
plot or
that. Yep.
whatever. And it's tough, man.
Yep.
It is a mental grind at that point. And I've killed a lot of birds come in silent, or they pop out silent, see a decoy, and come running in, and you get to experience that rush. But and then you go to Texas, and I've been like South Dakota and Nebraska and all out there. And man, now that you talk about turkeys, that it's a lot of fun out that way.
One of my favorite places is Nebraska. I got a good buddy in Nebraska who, he's got a lot of land and birds, and that's it, man. The beautiful thing is, you might screw one bird up, and 10 minutes later, you're in more birds out there, and they gobble their heads off, and and love it. So, and that's one of the things I'd love your opinion on. You almost, just like deer hunting, you approach your early season versus different than your rut and your post. But I also think as that season moves along with turkey hunting, you also have to adjust your strategy and tactics, whether if you use a strutter and a hen, or use a Jake decoy, what kind of Jake decoy, just a hen, no decoy, walk everybody a little bit through, how you approach it around how the season changes and how the birds are acting.
Yeah, there's so much conditionals to what you just said. In my opinion, like I said, I've been turkey hunting since I was probably 20 years old, and that's good 20 years plus now. But early season, you can almost guarantee that those gobblers are gonna be on hens. They're gonna probably have hens with them. They may have a lot of hens with them, especially a big dominant bird. What I try to focus on is places that I can see a long ways. A lot of times, if I don't have them pinpointed exactly on the roost, and if I do have them pinpointed on the roost, I try to get really tight and try to be the first voice, if you will, that gobbler hears, and try to get him to come down, come right to me, or at least let him know I'm there. And at some point in the day, he's going to come back around and check if he loses those hens. But what we run into a lot, especially in Georgia, early season, is that gobbler might have 6 or 8 hens, and he may be breeding them throughout the day, but there's enough hens that he doesn't lose them all day long.
Yep.
And those are really tough birds to kill. They're usually really good birds if you can kill one. But and as far as decoys for that time, I'm a big fan of the Dave Smith Jake hen.
Yep.
Jake decoy.
That's great.
Really, if I'm just going to pick one decoy to use, that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use a whole season.
Yep.
And I may put him out there with a hen. And I'm not sponsored or anything by Dave Smith decoy.
No, I'm right there with you. They're incredible.
Just a killer.
Yep.
Literally, you can go shake my decoy right now, and there's BBs all in him where he's been hit by friendly fire. Shot birds off his back. Just stuff like that. And I think what it is with that decoy, and why I think everybody needs to pay attention to how it works, is the posture of that decoy. It's a little Jake decoy. The beard on mine's even gone. It doesn't even have a beard, but he's got his head laid back. Yep. It's colored up, kind of got what I call his shoulders up, like he's challenging anything that comes out and sees him. And I you know how it is. You may have during the season 2 or 3 2-year-old birds, and if they see him, 99% of the time they're coming. You can get ready because they're going to come try to jump on him. So that's a huge tactic that I use. And I really like to use him in open areas. We hunt on our lease we have here. We got power lines on my family farm. We've got fields, open pines, where if that gobbler can make eye contact and see that little Jake, it's going to be a death match. So, and then when I'm hunting in the woods, a lot of times I just don't use a decoy.
Okay.
I make that bird come and look for me.
Yep.
That's worked really well. But sometimes it kind of bites you in the butt, where if he hangs up at 80 yards and he doesn't see anything, he just kind of keeps on cruising, So it just depends on your terrain on that. If in that case, I might use just a single hen, if that kind of warrants that. So
yeah, sometimes that single hen just can help you break the ice and get that bird to come in, because they are finicky, and in the calling too. I know when we hunt Osceolas down in Florida, a lot of people will overcall those birds. They get real vocal on the roost, and when they hit the ground, they might gobble a few times, and sometimes less is more. When you got a bird that's gone, so he might come in, and you just got to be patient. But if you call too much, then he's gonna get wise up and just back off. And versus Nebraska, you can call and they'll gobble their heads off and run right into you, even if you're not the best caller. So I think it's just being open-minded and knowing that every scenario requires a little bit different calling scenario and or decoy scenario.
No doubt, man. And I think, as far as the calling goes, the good rule of thumb is always less is better.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about that. You're right. You may get out there, and I've been to Texas where, you could, every time you call, those Rios they're going to fire off. I don't care if they're 100 yards or 5 yards. They're going to answer you every time you call until they get shot. And that's an awesome, hunt to be in. But if you try that same tactic here in Georgia or Florida, that bird's probably going to hang up out there and gobble, or he's going to figure out this isn't right.
Yep.
He's going to be like, all right, something's up. And I'd say you just decreased your odds of killing him overcalling probably by at least 70%.
100%, 100%. I mean, I absolutely agree with you on that. That you just hurt yourself when you. And listen, the beautiful thing about turkey hunting, you can make mistakes and you learn from it, and you just keep moving on, and you find another bird, and then you put it all together, and when it happens, it's beautiful.
Exactly. And I was going to say, I mean, you're talking to something with a brain, what, the size of a quarter or so,
Yep.
I mean, and people don't realize that gobblers, for the most part, unless they've really been messed with a lot, they have a very short memory span.
Yep.
If you mess him up, just back off, leave him alone. Sometimes you can go back later that day or the next day, and man, he's reset and he's playing again. So don't give up on him if you booger him up.
No, not at all. So let me ask you this. I mean, you talked about your dad, which, is just puts goosebumps on me to think about that. My dad is, we grew up on a big cattle ranch, and he's unfortunately he's really ill and has Parkinson's and not able to do some of this stuff. And so I love the fact you still do it. But give me any other favorite turkey hunting memories that you have, with family members or friends, anything. I always like to ask that because, the time in the turkey woods is always usually really, really special.
Yeah, there's probably two hunts that really stand out, and one of them is with my dad. But one of them was one of my grandfathers, and he passed away probably 12 years or so now. But I remember our last turkey hunt together. I took him, and we had one gobbler was out in the middle of this field. He flew down, and there were 7 jakes or so with him. And we could call them jakes in, right to the decoy. And then they turn around and go right back to that gobbler. But, he just had, he's sitting there and, he's like, do you want me to shoot one of those jakes? And I was like, well, let's see. Let's wait and see if we can get that gobbler. In hindsight, I wish I had told him just lay him down, man. But, we're trying to get that big gobbler in there. And the craziest thing on that hunt, it was like the last day of the season in Georgia. And a hen comes out and goes straight to that gobbler and lays down in front of him. And he turned around and walked the other way. I guess he was just so worn out from breeding that he might have been raw or something. He did not want anything to do with her. And I was like, I've never seen that before. And
wow.
So anyway, that was a pretty cool hunt. That was our last hunt together. Something obviously memorable. And then my favorite. So to this date, anyway, my dad and I. His deal was he killed his first Grand Slam. He finished it last year.
Awesome.
And he wanted to do it with his 410 on video with all of the shots inside of 10 yards.
Beautiful.
I mean, that everybody does that. That's a piece of cake, right?
Yeah, really.
Knock that out.
Yeah.
So it took us several years, but we went to South Dakota in May in 2019. We flew out there. We got in there, and I was trying to do it in the single season last year with my 20 gauge. And sure enough, we have, birds fly down. And South Dakota is a phenomenal place to turkey hunt if you're, go out there. Sure enough, right after daylight, birds start popping out in the field. Here comes one gobbler by himself. And he's like, you want me to shoot him? And I look down and there's 3 or 4 more gobblers in the field. I said, let's wait and see if we can double. And sure enough, 2 of those gobblers saw that one come in and we were able to double. Finished my 20 gauge slam, and he got his 410 slam at the same time. So man, I don't know if I can ever top that one. In turkey hunting.
That's insane. And speaking of your dad and family, I mean, 2 of my favorite memories. My son, when he was about 12 years old, shot a slammer in Missouri Kansas with a crossbow, and then my dad, as I shared with you, he's got Parkinson's real bad. And last year we put on a hunt for Task Force Dagger, part of my brother's foundation, and so we got the soldiers to kill out. And so I took my dad, and he shakes really bad, and so we were hunting this field. We had just a group of jakes come in, and it was so funny, man. Just when those birds came in, he stopped shaking. Like, I was worried, how is he going to be able to shoot this shotgun? And for me to have him sit in a chair and to call these birds in and to have him and watch him just go back to the way that he was and to shoot one and just slammed them and to stay. And it was beautiful, man. I teared up, and, for him, it was emotional, and it was just, he stopped shaking for like 5 minutes and shot that
That's
bird.
amazing.
And that's just, you know what? It's just the family in the outdoors, and that's what I think some people lose touch of. Is it's not just about killing something; it's about the memories. And the beautiful thing about the turkey woods is it lets you get up close and personal, and and go through that, with your friends and family.
You hit the nail on the head, and I know we're talking about turkey hunting, but just hunting in general.
Yep.
I just got back late last night from a trip to South Texas, and one thing we were talking about down there, I was hunting with Bonnie and Mike McFerrin from Legends of the Fall, and we were talking about how they've raised their kids who are all grown now and in college and beyond. In on their ranch down there, like they've got pictures in their house down there just of all the decades of deer with their kids. I mean, from when they were
Yep.
6, 7, 8 years old growing up, and how that influences their life. And what people don't realize is how much hunting and having respect for the outdoors, you have respect for life in general, and taking that life, and you understand the whole cycle. And I think if more people could experience that, especially kids, then as they get older, they'll have a bigger appreciation for everything.
Man, well said. And I think that falls on our shoulders, and, to just keep encouraging them. I've got two boys, one's a big fisherman. The other one, he's a killer. He's a hunter, and he loves it, and he's eat up with it. And so I think, you just pass it down as much as you can and get them involved, and, and just get, integrated into the outdoors. And when they do, most times they're hooked for life, and it's a beautiful thing. So
I agree, man. And just right quick, growing up myself, like there was days where I didn't have a choice but to go with my dad. Like, okay, you're going, you get in the truck, we're going, do whatever in the woods. And there was times I was probably like, man, it's too hot, or I'd rather be playing with my friends or whatever. But it came back full circle to me. Like I went away from hunting a little bit when I was a teenager. You figure out there are girls in this world, and I'm playing sports and all this stuff. And then, in my 20s, right around 20, it kind of came back full circle. And I was like, man, I really do like this. Like this really is a part of me that was put into me. And now I didn't know it until, it finally, my brain all clicked together. And then I started spending a lot more time with my family and my dad and grandfathers and all that. And I wouldn't trade that for anything, man.
No, it's so funny that with a lot of parallels in our life, how we grew up. I grew up on a big cattle ranch, and I grew up hunting with my best friend, Bill, who's still down in Central Florida. And then I got away from it a little bit in college, and in my early 20s, got back into it. And Bill and I started hunting together again, and then starting to do some TV and different videos over the years, and so wouldn't trade it for the world, man. And it's just it's a beautiful thing. So I so appreciate you sharing your stories. One thing I'd love to ask you too, as a veteran turkey hunter, what is the biggest mistake you think new turkey hunters make? Because what I run into a lot is a lot of people want to get involved in turkey hunting, but they get intimidated. And so they're not sure, where to start, how to call a turkey. And a lot of it's just, trial and error. But, what advice could you give somebody that might be listening that says, you know what, I want to jump into it, or I've only been doing it a year or two, on how to avoid some of those new mistakes that some turkey hunters make just getting started?
Well, I would say the biggest thing is don't be afraid to make a mistake. Like, you're going to make mistakes. Like, I was the same way. When I first started turkey hunting, one of my uncles took me for the first time and kind of got me hooked on it, but I still had to learn it all myself, right? And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Learn for every time you go to the woods. Like, you're going to pick up little things that you don't know about. And every encounter you have with a gobbler, whether you shoot him or you don't shoot him, even encounters with hens, you're going to learn a little bit more. But the biggest thing I think that most people make is they don't have the patience. And you need to, like, if you sit down, you got a bird gobbling, wait him out. I mean, he may shut up for an hour. And it's hard to do, but it depends on what time schedule you have, of course. But usually if that bird knows that you're there, he's going to come check at some point in time. If you get within that, 100-yard range of this bird, he's going to come over there and see what's going on. And it takes a lot of patience. I know a lot of guys are like, man, this bird hadn't gobbled in 15 minutes, and we need to get up and move. And you get up and you take 10 steps, and boom, there he was coming down the road. That happens so many times, and I learned that stuff the hard way, man. I'm talking, I messed up so many birds, and I'm just like, well, I learned what not to do, So I would say, too, another thing that a lot of people make mistakes on, running and gunning is fun, but you better know where you're at and what you're doing, because I've done it and I've screwed up so bad. I've gone out and, man, on the edge of this cutover, and I hit my call and nothing gobbles, and I'm like, all right, whatever. I walk 200 yards, turn around and look, and the 3 gobblers were standing right where I just called from.
Had that happen.
Stupid mistakes, but you have to make them to learn that you don't do that, and it sucks.
No, it does. But you know what? That's great advice, and that's real through lessons learned that we've both experienced over the years. And you know what? You keep learning, but I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that's something that if people getting started would take that advice, I think it'd help them be more successful. Or in here, when I say successful, it's the encounter, because to me, there's nothing like that gobble and hearing that bird drumming and coming up to you, and whether you shoot him or not. And listen, we love to shoot him in the face, and we love to shoot him with a bow too. It's just that encounter that's the thing that I think a lot of us that have been doing it for years crave and love.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. That's the reason we turkey hunt, is to hear that gobble, to see that bird commit. You're sitting there looking over a small food plot or something. When you see that red head coming, you're like, man,
it's on.
You can't breathe, you can't talk. You're just sitting there trying to hold your stuff together so you don't lose your mind, waiting on him to come in there and get a shot. And like you said, if you don't get a shot, he's still there. He's going to play the game again. Just give him some time. Go find another bird to play around with. If that's the only gobbler you got, go fishing the rest of the day and come back tomorrow.
No, so. Great advice and feedback. So let me ask you this, give some of your fans that might be listening here, some feedback, and what can they expect from, the Backwoods Life team and for 2020, and some of the things you got going on with, your now 16th season that's going to be airing this year.
Yeah, we had a pretty good fall. A lot of whitetail hunts, a lot of stuff. We traveled all over. We hit Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Texas. Here in Georgia, we got some really good stuff. We tried to cover as much ground as we could. We killed a lot of nice bucks. We had fun, and that's kind of what I hope everybody that watches us sees, that we're not going to kill 200-inch deer. We're not going to, we don't have deer that, oh, this is Jim Bob. He's 12 years old. It's time to shoot him. We're not in the position. We don't have a lot of that in our storyboard, because of where we get to hunt and how we do things. But we have fun. You're going to see 170-inch deer go down. You're going to see 120-inch deer go down. That's what we do. That's who we are. It's how we live, the backwoods life, so to speak. But man, we're really excited about this season. We got some good stuff coming up. I mean, I really have to sit here and go back and go through everything to recap it all. But
that's a good problem to have, buddy.
Yeah, I mean,
you think back to your first 2 seasons or 3 seasons, versus what you're doing now. That's
it's crazy. And I hunted Michigan this year. First time I ever hunted Michigan. I shot a nice buck up there. That was like a really cool thing. And sidetrack just a second.
Yeah.
I never knew how awesome Michigan was. And I apologize to everybody in Michigan for saying that. But when we went up there, I was like, man, this place is beautiful. I mean, we had a great time.
Yeah. You know what? I've never hunted Michigan either, but I've heard, it is beautiful. And, there's some slammers there, as well. Not just big rack deer, but just big bodied deer too.
Yeah, the guy we were hunting with is a good friend of ours, Earl Williams. The first night we were there, his wife loves to hunt, and she shot like almost booner the first night with her bow when we were there. I mean, it was like, man, we were stoked, and we saw a lot of bucks, had a great time, and it finally came together. But just stuff like that sticks in your mind, just new experiences. I mean, we got some new stuff rolling out. We've never been to places before, and one thing I did want to say, talking about turkey hunting. We do have our spring series. It's all digital and online. It's called Backwoods Beards. We'll be rolling that out every couple weeks of turkey season. We usually do about 10 episodes of those. so people can kind of follow along how our turkey season goes somewhat real time there. So that'll be all through our social outlets.
No, okay. So I was going to ask you where can they follow that? Is it on YouTube, your social outlets?
Yeah, it's going to be on our YouTube channel. We'll have them all there. We'll have them on Facebook View or Facebook Watch, and then IGTV, Instagram TV. We'll have them on there, and we have Backwoods Life Roku channel. So if you got a Roku box, you can go in there, search Backwoods Life, download the channel, and you can see all of that. You can see all of last year's Backwoods Beards and Backwoods Bucks as well. You can see a lot of the highlights from this past season here and there, and then we'll have the full show content rolling out this summer where you can see A to Z on all that stuff.
Man, that's outstanding. Listen, Mike, big congratulations to you and your team. It's a big accomplishment, and again, like how I started, it says a lot by somebody who's been in this industry and seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. It says a lot about you guys and the fact that you're still doing it at the level you are and getting better each year, and the content, and I know you guys stay so engaged with your fan base and keep it real, and I think that's so important, what some people in the industry lose touch of. So brother, it was a pleasure to talk with you. We got to get in the turkey woods and hunt together, man. Our lives have been too much in parallel not to go chase some birds somewhere in Florida, Georgia together.
Yeah, man. Open invite. Just hit me up anytime. We'll hit our lease over here, or we'll find somewhere else to go.
Yeah, we'll get you down to Central Florida, and we'll have a good time down there with Billy. So
let's do it.
I wish you the best this spring turkey season. I know you guys have a ton, and it was a pleasure. And we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you, Brian. I enjoyed it, bud.
Thanks. Take care. Hey everyone, go check out all the cameras and new products for 2020 at SPYPOINT.com and keep up with the latest insights from SPYPOINT on Instagram and Facebook.